introduction, I'm Nick Brito. I work for Fidelity Growth Partners. I thought I'd start by telling you a little bit about my background, also spending some time telling you about what makes me and also what makes Fidelity excited about investing in Europe. And then finally, I'll tell you a little bit about our fund and what we do and what we've done. So as you can probably tell from my accent, I'm originally from the US. I grew up in Arizona, then I moved to LA, and then spent some time working in the Valley. Then I decided 6.5 years ago to move to London, mostly because I hated the sun. I actually moved with the investment bank I was working with at the time to help them launch their European practice. It was a company called Thomas Weisel Partners. I did that for a number of years, and I moved to another firm called Hawk Point, and spent about 5 years advising European technology companies on raising capital and on M&A. And originally my plan was to be out here for 2 or 3 years, but to be honest, I really fell in love with the ecosystem. I've now been here 6.5 years, and I don't plan on leaving. It was really exciting to be a part of something that was growing so rapidly. So about 1.5 years ago, I decided I wanted to make a career change. I thought I'd leave the dark side of investment banking and move into venture capital. And as I started to look at some of the more active investors in Europe, there's a few things that really spoke to me about Fidelity. One was their proposition about really helping companies become truly global success stories. And the other was just the excitement internally, not just at the venture fund, but also within the broader organization about making investments in Europe, which is why I wanted to share just a quick anecdote about one of the reasons that even today we're very excited about what's happening in Europe. Since the year 2000, there's been over 30 companies that have been founded that have now gone on to become billion-dollar companies. And while that's an impressive stat, what's even more impressive is that in the last 12 months, 12 of those companies have gone on to become billion-dollar businesses. So the pace at which companies are becoming international successes is accelerating. If you think about companies like Delivery Hero, TransferWise most recently, Supercell's another one, those are all businesses which were founded in Europe and within 3 years became billion-dollar companies. And we think that's a great sign for the ecosystem. And one of the reasons we think that is because European companies think globally from day one, which is different than in the US because it's such a large market. And that's something that we really like and is core to our strategy, which I'll get to in a second. Actually, it's probably a good segue to tell you a little bit about what we do. But the fund we work for is part of the larger Fidelity organization, which for those of you that aren't aware, it's one of the larger asset management firms in the world. It's a private company. We've got about $5 trillion globally in assets under management. And that's the side of the business a lot of people know. But what a lot of people don't know is that we've been venture capital investing for over 45 years now. So it's a big part of what we do. And we now have built up what we think is the largest corporate venture capital group in the world. We've got $3.5 billion dedicated to venture capital, and that's spread across the globe. So we've got investment teams sitting on the ground in the US, here in London in the UK, in China, in India, in Japan, which is something else that we think is unique, that we have active investment teams that are sitting in the US, Europe, and in Asia. And core to our strategy across all those markets is we look for companies that they may be strong in 1 or 2 or 3 home markets, but really their product has global relevance, and importantly, the company has global ambitions. And the reason we focus on that is because we think that, for one, that's how you're most likely to build a very large billion-dollar business, but also we think that as a large international corporate, that's where we can add the most value, is really helping you expand on a global basis. So that strategy has meant we've been a part of some really interesting international successes. To name a few, we invested in Atari early on in the US. We built up Colt Telecom here in the UK. We were the first institutional investors into Alibaba in China, which is by far one of our most successful stories. We invested in that business when it was just a handful of employees working in a garage, and we still hold shares today. And the company's now worth north of $260 billion. So it was a great success for us, and we've grown substantially in China on the back of that. In Europe, more specifically, which is the team that I work for, we've been investing for over 15 years. We continue to be very active. We invest across all different subsectors, from consumer internet to enterprise software to a lot of open source technologies. And yeah, we continue to look for new opportunities. So if that story speaks to any of you and you're looking to build the next big global success, please stop by and say hello.